right, we're back. Some things never change. Tomlin's Steelers dropped another Thursday night football game, and I'm still so depressed from this game that I just ate half a pumpkin pie.
With whipped cream.
No whipped cream. I just
Ah,
eat it like I'm walking around with pie in my hand.
that's not the worst thing in the world. Pumpkin pie is delicious.
I ate four last year during the week of Thanksgiving.
Wow. Maybe instead of
It's
talking
like
about,
again?
I mean, it's a delicious pie. So maybe instead of talking about the Steelers, we can just rank the pies. We can power rank
Yeah, there you
different types
go.
of pies for holiday seasons instead of talking about what happened that Thursday night. But it's great to be back. We
Yeah.
haven't had a lost discussion in what about a month. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're on a hot streak. We start feeling good about them, and what happens? They not only do the defense overlooks an opponent, the coaching staff overlooks an opponent. Our offense wakes up again and puts 31 points on the board, but the D just, I mean, there's no scheming. They're just like, just throw them out there in their base sets and let's see what happens. I mean, that'll work against like your Cleveland's, your lesser opponents, but these better offenses, you've got to scheme them.
yeah, yeah. It felt like 2015. Just where you knew the offense was I was not expecting an offensive performance like we had, and I want to give credit where credit's due to Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers,
Mhm.
the offensive line. We'll get into all that. I wasn't expecting that, but it felt like the offense could kind of do what they needed to do. It just the defense didn't show up. I mean, it felt like we could have been starting Mike Mitchell out there again. We could have been starting Antoine Blake, these guys who are obviously incredible athletes for making it to the NFL, but you got Hall of Famers and all pros and Pro Bowlers up and down that back
Yeah.
11, and you let Cincy do anything that they wanted.
I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. He's a Pats guy, and I've mentioned it before, but it came to mind that Belichick, when he was with the Pats, when he's scheming a team, he takes away their best guy. Every single time, he's like, if you're going to beat me, fine, you're going to beat me, but you're going to do it without your best player. I
Right.
don't care if I got to double, triple team him, chip him off the line with a linebacker, and then double team him on the back end. That receiver's not going to beat me. You're gonna win the game with your other players. I mean, what 2001 AFC Championship, Cordell and Bettis were there. They played a five-man line, so Bettis could never get going in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why regardless of what he's doing up at UNC right
Yeah.
now, that's why he's the greatest NFL coach of all time. It didn't matter. He would take your best guy away, and you could either force his hand and say we're going to him every time, or you'd have to adapt. And we didn't do that. We talked about it earlier. You gave Chase inside leverage on every slant play. I understand a slant's a hard play to stop, and Jamar Chase is, you know, there's an argument that he's the best receiver in the NFL. I'm more impartial to Justin Jefferson, but I don't understand how you let Jamar Chase do that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you don't. eh, The thing is, I want to give them not credit, but I want to say, okay, well, when they tried to bunch up and say, okay, well, we're not going to let you throw a slant, they just stuck Chase Brown and let him run to the outside and run over everyone.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what we did, they were just going to do it better, and that's why I just we talked about I was screaming at the TV because you're looking at the league's worst rushing offense. You're looking at an offense led by Joe Flacco. No disrespect to Joe Flacco. You
10
know,
days.
10 days. And suddenly, what we talked about last week, no wonder Tomlin was so pissed they traded for Flacco.
Yeah.
He, I, the one thing I will say, and I found the stat, no one has played a Mike Tomlin team more than Joe Flacco and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So Joe Flacco could walk into anywhere. The thing is, he's going to know what to do, but that's a problem in and of itself because the defense hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But
Jamar and T after the game both said they played us exactly the way we expected them to play us, and that's why we won the ball game. We knew what they were going to do, and they did it, and we took advantage of it. I
yeah,
mean, Flacco looked like Montana out there wearing 16 and just. I mean, I don't take anything away from him. He's still got an arm on him, and he's
oh, he
definitely
throws a
got the
beautiful
brains.
spiral. I mean,
Yeah,
just the way that ball moves It's gorgeous. He was fantastic. He did, his stats were, I made the mistake. No, I didn't make the mistake. They made the mistake. I started the Steelers defense in fantasy, right? Here, what am I thinking? What was I thinking? I mean, I started Jamar Chase too, but it's irrelevant. I Yeah, we could sit here and we could dive into every single bad reason, and I think it would take 2 hours.
You know what?
So we're gonna try to package it and make
Yeah.
it presentable and forget about it, flush it down the toilet, and move on to Green Bay.
Yeah, I was watching that game and watching Flacco play, and I was thinking at the time, I was like, he came into the league like 3 or 4 years after Aaron, and it was ended up being 3 years. I was like, this guy's on a 1 year deal with Cincinnati. Aaron's on a what? Flacco might end up in Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah,
I mean, and I have not heard that anywhere. I was
right,
just my
right.
brain rolling through scenarios just watching the game. And it would not, but then he's apparently exact same age as Aaron, or he's like a year younger. So I mean,
I think
still
he's
could.
43. Yeah. I'm with you there. I think Tomlin respects talent. I do, and I think that he will bring in the guys that he respects, obviously the vets. I'm not so sure Rodgers is going to be done after this year. He's played pretty damn well. And obviously he's not the forerunner for the MVP conversation, but he's the best quarterback we've had in 7 years.
Yeah, he's leading the league in touchdowns right now.
Yeah, he's that Hail Mary at the end of the game. Sure, it wasn't a completion, but he
65
threw.
yard pass.
Yeah, he throws it farther than Mahomes. He throws it farther than Hurts. I mean, these guys are in the prime of their careers. He was mobile. I want to give him that credit. He was mobile. Just
Mhm.
watching him, it kind of really felt like vintage Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
which was really cool just to see him drop back, direct traffic, evade, not pick up 15, but pick up 7 or pick up 8. And he did that a few times. And I loved seeing that. And I think the offensive line played well. We ruined a really good offensive night with,
Hmm.
an eye-rolling, eye-popping defensive performance.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it is possible he comes back next year. I believe that if he's going to be able to come back next year, they can't continue leaning on him for
Correct.
touchdowns and 31 points every single game. The defense has
Yeah.
got to in a wow. I'm just still beside myself.
Yeah, I was again, I know you and I both watched the replay here now a couple times. I think the pivotal moment for me is in the second quarter. So on second quarter, it was like second and 16, and I probably have the exact whatever wrong, but Flacco threw it to the flat, and Chuck Clark blew up that pass, right? So second and 16, they had done nothing. We had done whatever we wanted to do all game. We had a touchdown called back for a penalty for two penalties essentially, and I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna throw something here. They'll pick up 7 or 8 yards. We're gonna hold them on third down, and we just, of course, we that was like the first backbreaker to chase.
Hmm.
And from that moment on, it felt like the defense just rolled over, and they weren't there. I don't know why Tomlin felt the need to have Chuck Clark start so much. I thought Jabril Peppers when he played a few weeks ago was much better.
He's seen nothing but special teams duty since
Yeah, I
they
don't.
put the game against the Pats.
Right. I don't understand. They limited Nick Herbig's stats significantly. And Tomlin said because they weren't in pass rush situations, but they were because it was a shootout. So
Yeah.
Flacco threw what 37 times, not really, but something like that. It the whole thing it did I feel like it flipped there, and from that point on we just had no answers.
I mean, Herbig proved over the last few weeks he's a starting quality linebacker.
Yeah.
And I think he's the better linebacker option over Highsmith because he's got more explosiveness to his play. I didn't
Yeah.
take anything away from him. Alex is a good linebacker. I've always
Yeah.
liked him. I liked him as a rookie. I was like, he reminded me his rookie season of Lamar Woodley because Lamar
Yeah.
got in and got that little bit of spot duty, but every time he hit the field, he was making something happen.
Yeah.
Highsmith he's more of a run stopper guy, but he
Yeah.
doesn't always get to the quarterback as much as you want him to. Herbig's doing both. He's blowing stuff up on the way to the quarterback.
Yeah, he's there, and whether or not he's getting the tackle, he's making the play. My issue with Highsmith, and again, it's not an issue. He's a starting edge on pretty much every NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
If he's the run guy, how are you not going to wonder if Joe Flacco's going to keep that ball? When
Yeah.
Flacco scrambled for like 15, I was like, there's not one person that wanted to have an eye on Joe Flacco. and Highsmith almost did a double take.
Yeah.
So I was just it was rough all around. I really feel like we could go through and dissect every single defensive player and we'd have content for weeks because it just everyone except Brandon Eccles played phenomenally.
Mhm.
The guy we signed in the slot corner, he's played
Yeah.
phenomenally, and I'm kind of hoping Darius Slay's been a great vet, but he's not been a great vet player. He's
Yeah.
struggling big time, so I wonder if we're going to see a swap in duties there. But
I would hope
Tomlin,
so because that's what I would expect. What 11, 12 year corner, unless he's
yeah,
going to be effective at safety.
right, and Ramsey has that role, and Ramsey's been phenomenal in the slot and at safety, but he's getting burnt on the outside because he's older. I mean, that's just how that works. We had more dropped interceptions, which I thought was an issue.
Hmm.
You got to pull those in.
Yeah.
Those are, when you have a defense like that, you got to make splash plays. You can't just be a bend don't break and then just break anyways. You have to make those splash plays. And we just didn't. Of course, Rodgers threw two interceptions. One was an awful, awful throw, that deep shot to DK.
That reminded me of the Bruce Arians days when he was on a pregame show or something, and he's like, "There's some plays I just tell Ben to drop back and
Yeah.
throw the go route, no matter what the coverage is, just throw it, and we'll see what happens." And sometimes they pick it, sometimes we win on it, and that's
Yeah,
what that looked like. He just dropped back and heaved the ball. I'm like, "What are you doing? There's three Bengals right there."
right. It was single high safety, and you're trying to look off the safety. The safety never moved. He followed DK the entire time. And then he throws it, and he's like 4 yards short of DK and 3 yards to the right. DK never had a chance at that ball.
Yeah.
And then the second interception, I don't even think it was an interception. The other throw to DK that got ripped out of his hands. First of all, the ball's moving still on the ground. DK has his hands on it while he's out of bounds. There's just like it was very frustrating overall. But I don't want to nitpick and blame the refs for the loss. It was the defense's fault.
I kind of felt like that play was more about want to also. DK assumed he was going to come down with that ball because he
Yeah.
was, and that DB is like, "Oh no, you're not. I want to win this
Yeah.
game."
He got hit. I mean, he got hit. And that's something that we'll never know what that hit actually feels like.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it feels good.
Thankfully.
Right. I can't imagine it feels good. So I'm not going to sit here and everyone said, "Oh, well, DK, how are you going to get the ball ripped out of you? You're 6'4", he's 5'11". I'm like, it doesn't matter. Those guys are still really fast and really strong.
Hmm. A lot of car crashes on the field every Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some issues with the refs. I think that they called a DPI on Jalen Ramsey on that first touchdown to Chase.
Hmm.
I thought that was OPI on Chase. I
Yeah.
mean, they're fighting, but Chase blatantly pushes off.
Yeah.
The tush push that we ran, they finally decided to throw a flag on that. The
What
Eagles.
I kind of missed that. What happened there? They called it a false start on Hank.
No, they called it on Mason on McCormick on the right guard.
Okay.
Um, and the thing is, he did jump a little, but it's what the Eagles do every single time. So it was frustrating because to me it looked like the Eagles. It looked like what they do, but we
Uh-huh.
did it and they flagged that. And so that was really frustrating. And that's one of the things that led that and the Zach Frazier hold are what led to the field goal that made it 10-0 and not 14-0
Yeah.
early in the first quarter.
I'm not a big fan of that tush push thing.
I hate it, but
I think
until
it's
they ban
wussing
it,
out. That's just the way I see
I
it.
know. There's no way to stop it unless you have Troy Polamalu.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it.
leaping over. Have you seen some of his commercials? That
Yeah. It's so funny. He went from like this
fantastic, man.
real quiet guy to now he's in like all the Head and Shoulders commercials.
That mane is looking good too. He's got a little bit of
Yeah.
silver with the black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll ever cut. I don't think he will, but I wonder if he ever will cut it.
It doesn't look like he'll have to. It doesn't look like he's going to get that "I've got straw for hair" look when it does
Right.
completely gray out on him. It looks like it'll be healthy hair. I mean, we
Oh,
talked about probably 2 months ago. Some of these dudes they curl their hair and it turns
yeah.
gray, and it looks like
Yeah.
they've got straw bales for hair. It's like, dude, cut that crap.
Well, Troy Polamalu is forever a winner in our eyes.
That's
So let's
right.
talk about the winners and losers from Thursday night. Let's do two each. So, two winners, two losers. What do you got? Who's your first winner?
I'll give it to the offensive line.
Okay.
They're just, despite what happened Thursday night, they showed up again, and they're keeping Rodgers clean. The running game keeps, continually getting a little bit better each week. I'm hoping we're what, 6 games in now. I'm hoping at the midpoint of the season that this running game and everything, they just start bulldozing, and really start churning out a bunch of rushing yards every game.
Yeah, I thought the line played real well. I gave my first winner to Jalen Warren.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's kind of proved. I don't want to say any naysayers. Obviously, I'm wearing my Angry Run shirt featuring Jalen. We've said we think he's kind of more that 1B running back. I think he's kind of elevated himself into that
Yeah.
1A role. It helps when the rookie behind him doesn't develop, but that's a different story. No, I thought he played real well. I do think the offensive line played very well. The only sack they had was Broderick Jones sacking Aaron Rodgers in celebration.
I missed that, and I've
Yeah.
seen some headlines, but I haven't stopped to read anything. I just hadn't had time to. So Broderick pulled him down.
So that'll segue into my next winner, which is Pat. I think Freiermuth
Okay.
finally he had that game that
Yeah.
Tomlin said, you're when it comes, you better be ready. He was 5 for 11 with 2 touchdowns. That's fantastic. That's good for him.
Yeah.
So what happened is on that Rodgers dime, that dot, that whatever in the late fourth quarter to Pat, that was the
Uh-huh.
long touchdown. Rodgers does his fist pump thing, and Broderick was so excited he jumped on his back.
Oh,
And so yeah,
it's a lot of
Aaron,
man to be jumping
yeah,
on somebody's
three
back.
311 pounds. So Aaron falls down and he gets up and you can just see his eyes lock in on Broderick and is just what, and he's going at him. And of course, the national media picks it up and like, oh, problem stirring in Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
And Broderick came out, and I want to find the quote. He joked and said they were joking about it in the presser, I think either Monday, yeah, probably Monday. And he said, like if Rodgers throws another pass like that, he's going to do it again. So like they're fine. They're fine. But yeah,
I've seen him after he throws touchdowns, turn around and grabbing him by his collar and
yeah,
shaking him like, yeah, and I'm like, I like to see that enthusiasm out of your lineman. It was,
yeah, yeah. So I thought that was the result of the situation that I thought Pat was my second winner. Who's your second winner?
second winner. Ooh. Uh, I mean, I would probably have to go with Rodgers keeping things moving on the offense and keeping those guys focused because they, let's just face it, if they'd had any other quarterback in there that doesn't have the leadership ability that he has, the offense would have fallen apart. We'd have gotten knocked off 45-17
Yeah.
the way Cincy was playing. I mean, it would have been really bad, but he kept us in the game. I mean, he just keeps producing.
Yeah, that was a difference maker for me. Another example of that is Rod with a flea flicker. So Rodgers gave it to Warren, and Warren pitched it back, and you could tell Rodgers was like, "What is it? What?" And
Yeah, that's why
he
I was
didn't know
like,
he didn't know what to do with it. He threw it, and you could see him look at Jalen right after that. He was like, are you doing?" Like he immediately got after him, and it came out that that was not the play call. I don't know what Jalen thought. So there was some confusion between Tomlin, Rodgers, and Warren about what happened. But the fact that two things, the fact that Rodgers not only say went after, but immediately focused on Jalen and said, "What's going on?" And second, Jalen clearly responded to it. He clearly trusted Rodgers' leadership and
mhm,
said, "Okay, we messed up. Let's be better." And when again, 16 for 127, Jalen had himself a night.
yeah.
We got some leadership at the quarterback position. So who are your losers?
Oh,
Let's
man.
stick with two. Let's stick with two
Well,
and not everyone ever.
the head coach.
Okay.
I mean, he can't get these guys ready. He can't get them up for a game. I feel like it's underestimating your opponent.
Yeah.
They're classic for doing that. I mean, that happened some in Cowher's years too, but once Cowher got Ben, which he only had Ben for 3 seasons, but once he had that quarterback that he always needed,
Yep.
you didn't overlook opponents anymore.
Yeah. Who he
Now,
didn't want, which is always so funny to me.
what's that?
He didn't want Ben. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that story, right?
Oh
Cowher
yeah,
didn't
yeah. He wanted
Cowher didn't want
Sean
to draft Ben.
Andrews that
Yeah,
eventually
he
got
didn't want to
drafted
draft
by
Ben.
Philly.
Yep. And Rooney came in. He was like, we're not
Yeah,
having another Marino situation. Take this kid. Yeah, I think Both of my losers are in totality the defense. My first is going to be Cam Hayward specifically. He kind of got beaten up, pushed around all night against guys he should have dominated. He is the
Mhm.
vocal leader of that defense. He can say all the right things, but he said all the right things a couple times so far this season, and we have failed to sustain the play that we need to play. And with Cam, I said the entire run defense. Chase Brown is not a bad running back. I
Yeah.
drafted him in fantasy. I know this isn't a fantasy pod, but I drafted him in fantasy. He's not bad, but to have him do that and to have that offensive line do that to you it's just embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Keanu Benton apparently would look better at defensive end. They need to
Mm.
start spelling Cam a bit. I mean, he could be just
Yeah,
hitting that wall because he's an older player.
yeah. Yeah, I think Derek Harmon has continued to play well. I mean, obviously he's a
Mhm.
defensive tackle. He's not going to have eye-popping numbers, but
Didn't
he
see much
and
out of him in the Cincy game, but Benton
yeah,
got a sack early.
I still Benton the Badger Bros connected. Yeah, Benton and TJ.
Yeah.
I think that with a rookie defensive tackle, he's not going to be Aaron Donald to start with. But I think
Yeah.
if you look at the draft class, he might be the best defensive tackle. Obviously, we're 7 games into their careers, but he's looking like he might be better than some of his earlier drafted counterparts. And I wonder how much you're going to start to see a difference. To your point, hey, let Cam rest some more. Let's get Derek in there because Derek's just a force.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give the old man a break.
Give the old man a break, unless it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Unk, as the kids call. Unk carried. I don't know. I can't keep up with this with the slang. Who's your second loser?
uh, the defensive coaching staff.
So you're double dipping. Okay.
I mean, get it together. I mean,
Yeah.
just somebody think outside the box or just think like a coach
Yeah.
and say, how am I going to defeat these guys other than rolling out base coverages and just hoping our athletes get it done? I mean,
Right.
might have gotten it done in the 60s and 70s, putting your best athletes on the field.
Yeah.
That's the that's the thinking in JV football.
Right.
To quote Tomlin, that was a junior varsity performance. Well, he's a junior varsity coach right now, as well as his coaching staff. I mean, just
Yeah. I think that's a great point because I think my one of my biggest issues with Tomlin, and this has been in his entirety, is there again, we've talked about this. There are no adjustments. Whatever we're doing in the first half, if it's not working, it doesn't matter. We're going to continue to try it.
mm,
Jamar Chase started to tear us up in that second quarter, and I thought, okay, let's get in the locker room. Let's inside leverage. Let's get Peyton Wilson in there to shade him, just and just something. And we did nothing. And it's the lack of ingenuity. It's the vanilla defense. Where was what we saw for the last 2 or 3 weeks with these disguises? And
yeah.
it feels like so long ago where we had obviously with Dick LeBeau a defensive coordinator who created scheme and not just used his players. I forget what the scheme is called, but the whole swapping with the inside linebackers kind of curve and come around the other edge. That was a
Oh yeah,
LeBeau.
the I think it's the fire blitz or something like
Yeah, like that
that.
was him. It confused
Mhm.
defense. It confused offenses, and like that was so cool because there was a string of what felt like 5 or 10 years when sure we had Farrier, but we had Timmons, but you had guys in there who could make a play because the scheme worked. And
Mhm.
now it feels like you have to have the guys to make the scheme work,
Yeah.
which to me is just it's opposite. Yeah, my second loser was every defensive back not named Brandon Eccles because I think Eccles had a good game.
Yeah.
But like we talked about earlier, Darius Slay, either he's getting burnt or he's banged up. It's like every play. Joey has got to cut down on these defensive pass interferences as iffy as they are. He's handsy. He's always been handsy. That is his play style. We knew that at Penn State.
Hmm.
I don't agree with some of the calls, but you have to learn to play the game. He wore white gloves, so he's finally learning. Don't wear the bright colored gloves against your jersey, against your opponent. Um, but it was a struggle out there. It felt like for everyone.
Coaching.
Yeah, yeah. So that it was just rough. I think it's funny that again, winners were offense, losers were defense, because that kind of felt like the entire night.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a seesaw game.
It it's rough. So let's move into let's focus on the good here, right? It's one loss, right? We're still first in the division.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Lamar and the
good that
Ravens are
that didn't like call the season,
yeah.
we're looking at 6 months.
The thing is, we've been in those shoes before where that has called the season, and that's why this one stings because it's like, oh, we've seen this a million times.
Oh yeah.
We know exactly what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. So, who you mentioned your winners. Let's talk about your overall Steeler of the week. Who you got and why?
I'd go with Fryermuth on that.
Okay.
I mean, he's basically done nothing all year. He hasn't been on the field a lot. And then this game, he just boom. I don't he stepped up when they were looking for him.
Yeah.
And he made it happen. I don't understand why he's not more of the game plan week in and week out because he's got the ability to go out there and make these catches and make I don't know where the disconnect is between him and the coaching staff or him and Rogers or what's going on, but I'm glad it turned out against Cincy at least. So maybe, we've got four tight ends that we can put on the field and really confuse some people.
Three and a half.
Yeah.
I'm not on
Yeah.
the Connor train yet.
He's a
He dropped
H-back.
another he dropped another catchable touchdown. No, I think Pat's good. I noticed something in watching him in the All 22. Obviously, this is not a one-to-one comparison, but he plays a lot like Travis Kelce in
Okay.
terms of he is that wide receiver role. He's kind of that he's not going to block. Travis Kelce might get in the way, and maybe during his younger days, pre Taylor Swift, back on his TLC dating show days, would throw a block. But he plays a lot like Kelsey, where just sometimes he finds a way to be open. And
Mhm.
just even the way he carries the ball, I think it's just that he kind of holds it in front of him when he runs, which is I just thought was interesting. But
Huh.
needed a game from him. He showed up. Very pleased with that. My Steeler of the week is going to be Arthur Smith. I think he has turned into a very, very strong offensive coordinator for us. And the fact that he has is not, double-sided thing here. Here he is. We have an offensive coordinator who can use the scheme to get guys open, and his name is popping up in head coaching rumors.
I know. Tennessee, did they knock on the door?
They knocked on the door. He was the
Oh,
OC there for a couple years, and
yeah.
that's when Tannehill and Derrick Henry had their best years there.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm so scared of what's out there. Matt Canada has hurt me deeply,
He's
deeply,
probably at
deeply.
home playing Madden right now
Probably losing. He's probably
on the
losing right
rookie
now.
level.
Yeah. I'm so scared because I think we both feel this way. I don't trust Tomlin to make a coaching hire.
I think Tomlin should be stripped of all those decisions and just have to focus on coaching, and maybe he would be more productive.
And I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean,
I know.
you get the longest tenured coach. He's got more leeway and he can do more of what he wants than I bet any other coach in the National Football League. And that's including Sean McVay, that's including Andy Reid because of his connection with the ownership.
That's where ownership should say, "Look, we own this team. We're responsible for winning Super Bowls. I mean, we're taking this from you so you can focus on what you do best, and everybody else can focus on what they do best."
Yeah.
And if he says, "You know what? I'm out." Okay, fine. We'll find somebody else because they will.
Yeah, the Steelers will always be a sought after position, right? Head
Mhm.
coach. It doesn't matter how bad things seem. I still think it's incredible if you look at winning records of the past 20 years, we're like third,
Oh yeah.
and I understand obviously he's now winning the big games and there are high highs and low lows, right? I think you look at a lot of the teams that have won Super Bowls, it's not uncommon for them to win a Super Bowl and 2 years later be picking top five. And then 5 years later within a completely different regime competing again. I think the Eagles are a great example of that. They won a Super Bowl, what, 4 years ago with was it 5 years ago with an entirely different regime, top to bottom.
Yeah, wasn't when they beat the Pats, right? They
Yeah.
had Doug Peterson in there.
Yep.
It was what,
Nick
17,
Foles.
18, something like that.
Yeah, and they threw the Philly special. And that team is completely different than who they are now. And they flipped it and they turned it and they rebuilt. And all of a sudden, obviously they're not elite this year, but they're the defending Super Bowl champions. And I think
Yeah,
there's a
they've been to
couple,
two Super Bowls since that coach has gotten there and
yeah,
won
but
one. So
I think we just look through this differently. I think a great unintentional segue here as we move into the next week. I think Matt LaFleur is a solid comparison because the Packers haven't won anything.
Yeah.
And he's had prime Aaron Rodgers. I mean, maybe a little bit post prime. If you're talking about golf, he was on hole, 14 through
Yeah.
16. But obviously not a bad golfer. Um, and he has evolved Jordan Love into a top 10 quarterback. So, and yet the Packers haven't really won anything. So it's kind of a similar situation. It's ironic that, we turn to the page and here we are facing them Sunday night. Uh,
Yeah.
and what's shaping up to be a good game. I mean, it's funny because I kind of think like we're scared of the Packers mentally. I'm like, oh, they're good, but we have a better record than they do.
Hmm. Yeah. They better step up against them and take care of business.
Yeah,
I mean, I know history says we will, but you still got to put the cleats on and the pads and make it happen.
Tomlin has a fantastic record on Sunday Night Football
Hmm.
at home in alternate jerseys, and that's where we're
Are we
looking.
wearing the alternates?
Yeah, we are,
Woohoo!
which I'm excited about. But I kind of hope that the Packers wear their alternates, not the white cheddar or whatever they're called, like the 1950s ones.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, I saw that this will be the first time in NFL history since like 1942 that both teams are wearing yellow helmets.
Ooh.
So it's going to be a lot of yellow.
We wore those alternate jerseys in 1994, man, and they were atrocious.
Yeah. But the thing is, they're like the Bumblebees where they're so bad they're good. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, we can get away with that because we're a historic franchise.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just so bad it's good. Now, bad is the Denver Broncos AFL jerseys. Those brown and yellow ones
Yeah.
are, or the Eagles powder blue and yellow ones. There's
Oh
some
yeah.
bad ones out there. So,
Hmm.
all right, let's get into predictions. I know we're wrapping up things here. What's your prediction for this week?
Ooh. Who did Packers play last week?
I don't know. I can tell you.
So trying to, you're probably faster on the keyboard than
Cardinals.
that.
They
And they
played.
won, right?
Yeah, they barely won. I mean, 27-23 against a backup quarterback.
Oh, so this might be a winnable game.
Yeah,
I I almost don't want to pick us to win this game, but
I
I
know.
feel
I
like we're
know.
going to because of all the circumstances. Everybody's going to have a bad taste in their mouth, and
Yep.
I try to think about the psyche from what happened the week before going into
Mhm.
the new game, and I'd say maybe a 31-27 win for us.
Okay.
I mean, if the Cardinals hung up 23 points on them with a backup,
Yeah.
were they in Arizona or in Green Bay?
I believe they were in Arizona. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, they were in Arizona. Uh,
Okay.
I, I'm like you. I'm real tempted to be like, oh, Packers are going to win. I hope not. I'm going to be there for this game, so I'm really hoping that I'm not
Oh,
going to get.
cool.
Yeah, Sarah and I are going up. I'm hoping that we're not going to get back-to-back Sunday Night Football losses because we were up there last year for the Dallas game where had the massive rain delay. So I'm going to go 31-27. I I think that's a solid. I all eyes are on Broderick. Yeah, I think that's where I'm sitting right now.
That's right. He's got to
All
shut down that linebacker that's got all the mouth.
Micah
Yeah.
Parsons. All right,
Always run his mouth about TJ Watt. And it's like, dude, what is your I don't even know if TJ Watt knows who you are.
oh, I guarantee you he does. TJ's
Well,
got
yeah,
that
I
in
mean,
to him.
based on production, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, but I've never heard TJ say anything about the guy. I mean,
no,
the guy's always run his mouth about Watt. It's like, what's your beef, man?
just show up and play. That's all. That's all.
You play on the same, you're both on defense, so you're not going to face each other.
I know. I'll know. It's like the quarterback head to head. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're not facing each other. So, all right. Well, that's wrapping us up. We got the timer going. Zoom's yelling at
Well, do
us.
we? Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
got. Yep.
Cool. All right, man. Folks, it's been fun this week. We'll see you next time.
Come back with a win.
I hope so. Later.
See ya.